Hello, my name is John Hernandez. I am the co founder and programmer for the Latin American Film Festival of Dallas. You have just seen the film La Corazonada, or A Heart as Willing. I'm here today with the director, Diego Soto. And Diego, um, thank you very much for being with us today, and thank you for letting us show your film.
Thank you, and thanks to everyone for watching the film. I'm very happy to be able to show it so far away in Dallas. So thank you for the invitation.
You're the director, the first director who we were shown again. So we showed your film in our first edition. Now you're being invited back. Um, Speaking of your previous film, I know it's not your first. Your previous film was centered on, I think, your younger brother, right, and his circle of friends. I guess my first question is, how did you find this new core of characters for La Corazonada?
Again, it's my family.
Oh, there you have it.
Yes, they are my uncle and aunt. In real life, they have been married for over 30 years. And also there's my cousin, who is the son of the protagonist.
Oh.
And yes, we made a small film with them. It was our first film. It's an hour long, a 60-minute film that we made with them in 2016. And we made it in their workplace, which at the time was a parking lot. And we recorded, we filmed while the parking lot was working. So we had some scenes of them acting, and in the middle, a client of the parking lot walks in, and it's part of the scene too. So it was our first attempt to create a method, a way of working that made sense for us. And the years passed, and I wanted to work again with them. I felt that they have a very special talent to be themselves in front of the camera. And so I've been very trying to stay in touch with them these years, and to know what's happening in their lives. And at some point, my mother, who is my main source of information, she told me that they had a business in their home, that they put a swimming pool that they were renting in the summer. And that seemed to be an image, a very special como way of living in your house, but also having guests. And also I heard that my uncle was riding with bikers, and he was a part of a group of bikers, and had his jackets and everything. So those two images were for me enough to begin thinking of a film. And since they are my uncle and aunt, and I've always seen them, the two of them together, for me the theme was their relationship. It was supposed to be a film about love and about their relationship. But in the way, I realized that maybe to approach something that's so personal, so directly, will not work so good. So I began to think of these fictional characters that they play, where they haven't met and they have to meet for the first time. Um, so we injected a lot of fiction into a place that we also documented. So there's things in the film that are documentary, and there's things that are very, very fictional, and we try to make it evident Which
Yeah.
fictional?
So I didn't know that they were your family. So that kind of gives a maybe like a more resonance to that moment later on in the film when she talks to the director about the kiss and how the kiss has to be real. It has to be, there has to be something real behind it. That's something I think now that you say that kind of has to the fiction, like that moment of the putting the can on the head, which is a has to be captured in that one shot in order for it to be real. The same way that the kiss has to have like that real emotion behind it, which I guess it does in real life as well. um, One of the interesting things, I guess, about this film in particular was about I guess the film adaptation that they get dragged into of The Tempest, which is a kind of weird play that supposedly kind of starts with all this tragedy and kind of moves toward comedy. I was wondering what made you choose The Tempest as I guess as the thing for them to act.
I think that the Tempest chose me. But, I was in the middle of thinking about this place and these people, and I was for fun. I was watching the filmography of Paul Mazursky,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, and I watched the Tempest
With
uh,
Cassavetes, or
with
is that one
Cassavetes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes, and Susan Sarandon.
Hmm.
And I watched it without knowing that it was an adaptation of a Shakespeare play. So I just thought it was a very strange film. Why these characters suddenly go to an island, and why there's this Caliban character, which is kind of off beat of place. So it was a very fun experience, and I began to go to watch to see plays at the theater, and I saw a stage presentation of the Tempest, and while I was watching it, I began to connect, the dots, and realized that the film I watched was an adaptation. And in this version I watched on stage, there it was the Peter Brooks version, based
Hmm.
on the Peter Brooks version, and it had a scene where the characters had to balance ¿cómo se dice una rama de árbol?
Yeah, like a tree
Like a
branch.
branch, yes, a tree branch on their heads, to kiss. And I thought that it was a very cinematographic thing to watch, because suddenly everyone was kind of tense because of these actors that had to do this, and they had to do it for real,
Hmm.
and they only have one chance. And I felt that was a very strong image that meant many things to me, that had the potential to mean many things about love, about human relationships, about the path that one has to walk to get towards knowing or meeting someone. um, so it all started to first thing was to know that I wanted that scene in the film. And I think this was in the middle, because we shot this in 4 weekends, and this might have been between the first and the second weekend. So in that time I had to think, okay, how do we get to that kiss? um and then I started researching about the play, and I think it made a lot of sense. I think it is a very mysterious play. It's not very clear. It's a very strange play, even by Shakespeare standards. It's thought to be one of his last plays that he wrote. And there's and what I think Harold Bloom I read a text about by Harold Bloom talking about the display, and what called his attention was the lack of conflict. And it's true, it's a play about a magician that has a plan and begins to execute it, and everything goes as like he thinks he will go. And by the end, there's a beautiful monologue, but this magician that says, okay, I did everything, I did all this for fun, to amuse you. And now that everyone is happy and that we are all amused, I have no more powers. And I think that's like the role of fiction. I began to look at this character like a film director that is trying to make two people come together. In the case of the play, is his daughter and the son of a prince, the son of a king. And to bring them together, he begins to use magic to make some music, to put some smells in the air. So it's like presenting a situation that is a perfect place to fall in love, but he doesn't force it. He just puts the characters in that place and hopes that it works. And it works because it's magic. And and then I realized that it was the same thing I was doing with my uncle and aunt. I was making a film about two people that have been together for 30 years, and of course, at that point, the relationship is not that romantic. And I was creating situations that were a space for them to talk, like there was about their emotions, to talk, to say beautiful things to each other, and that space was bringing them together. So for me, the film is almost like an accidental adaptation of The Tempest, because of the way the pieces were beginning to come together.
Was this movie your last one? I think was shot in Rancagua. Was this also in Rancagua?
It's in the same region, but it's 30 minutes outside of the city, in the countryside, in a place called Doñihue. But it's around the same ecosystem.
Okay, it's not too far away then. Okay. These last two films, I guess, talk about the way that art enters the life of kind of, I guess, regular everyday people. Where do you see art, and I guess in its practice, whether you're as a filmmaker, whatever, where do you see art in your everyday life?
I think first of all, I was with this film, I was thinking a lot of a book by a sociologist, I think, that his name is Goffman, which is called the mise en scène of the daily life. So our daily life is like a stage, and as soon as someone else walks in a room, we are in a social relationship that has a lot of fiction. I think what drives, or what is at the center of this film, is the relationship of fiction and love. I think I was beginning to realize that they are both very similar in the way that they have a lot of invention, imagination, a lot of representation. But at the same time, they are both real in the sense that they modify our life, they change our lives. And so this is funny because this and the last film have been here in Chile. They were programmed in a documentary festival
So the
uh,
Fidox, is that was it
in
down?
Fidox, yes.
Yeah.
And that has been a little polemic within the
I
documentary
can see that. Yeah.
community. Um, and I think this one was a little more out of place. For me, the films I do, which are fictions that are made to make an inquiry in reality. I want to dig in reality through fiction. But this film in particular is like a call to fiction. It's like an homage to fiction and to the role that fiction use in our daily life, and the importance of fiction, and importance of acting, and or representing, or creating a character, and of course that is a tense relationship. It's a relationship that doesn't work too well, because what was fun for me, I don't know how this translates there, was the game of putting Shakespeare words in the mouths of my aunt and uncle, and watching them fail. These words don't work too well in our culture, so that short circuit, between the meaning and the words and the way they are said. That's what creates sort of comedy, or incomodidad. ¿Cómo se dice incomodidad? Uncomfortable
Yeah. Yeah.
feeling. So it's like, there's a friction there between fiction and reality, also between cultures. I think it's interesting for me that this film is showed there in the States, because it's a film that deals with the some elements from Anglo culture, Anglo-Saxon. I don't know how you say it, but it's, for example, the bikers. That's whole aesthetic and whole way of life that comes from Easy Rider and American movies. And here, people like my uncle and their friends, they try to replicate that culture and that experience, but it doesn't fit in that much. There's some things that can't be translated, and that they begin as like a mixing two things that don't mix together well, and that creates an interesting effect. There's a Chilean filmmaker that has been very inspiring to me these last years. He's a filmmaker from the 70s, during the dictatorship, Carlos Flores. He made a film that's called The Chilean Charles Bronson, and it's a documentary about a Chilean man that became that is that looks exactly like Charles Bronson, and he became a celebrity in television for being Charles Bronson. But he begins to interview him and know more about his life, and every time he talks, it's a very strange effect, but because it's his voice and his way of talking is totally Chilean. So you see the face of Charles Bronson, but the words are Chilean. And I think that these films has to do something with that. To what happens when you take the topics of the romantic comedy, or when you take Shakespeare from British culture and put it in a setting, a Latin American setting, from the countryside, from Chile, which is a place that nobody knows anything about outside of here, and see what works and what doesn't work, or how that failure of making things come together reveals something about our culture.
Diego, I want to leave you with, I guess, one little comment maybe about like the magic of your movie, and it's when Nieves says that people always tell her she looks like Monica Vitti, and when I first heard it, I was like, oh, that's cute, but like, thinking like, that's something like people say like to be like polite and be like, oh. But then she lets her hair down, and you're thinking, oh my god, she does like it's that's her. She looks just like her, and that was just a wonderful moment of like almost like movie magic in right in the middle of your movie that really tickled me. Um, Diego, I really want to thank you for your time today and for letting us show your film. We're now tracking your work. We're very excited for the work that you do, and we're hoping that we can continue this relationship and keep showing your films.
Great, thank you. This is very fun to me. It's very fun to me to talk about the film in English. I know it had some difficulties, but I'm very grateful for this relationship with this festival that I only know about virtually. But I know that I hope that there will be people watching this. And I'm currently like in the late stage of this distribution of this film, so I'm beginning to think and prepare the next one that I will be beginning to film by the end of February. Wow. That this is the future, talking about the past. and so who knows, in the future maybe you had the chance to watch it.
All right, well, Diego, thank you. I don't want to take up more of your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye. Take care.